From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Wednesday morning. It is 6 o'clock and welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thanks for starting your day with us.
I'm Miller Robson.
Hey, by the way. Everyone knows who you are.
Oh my goodness, yes. Anyway, well, they couldn't get me out of Georgia quick enough, so now Montana has me. Yeah. How you doing this morning, Victoria? You doing good?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, feeling pretty good. I think I got some good rest, and that's where it all matters. You know, that's where it all starts.
Are you ready for 2021? Boy, 2020 couldn't get out here quick enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah, I think we're all ready for it.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, you know what? If the weather's any indication of how the new year is going to start off, I think things are going to be very, very nice out there. We do have a full moon over Billings right now. A beautiful shot as we take a look at our iCam here in Billings. We're sitting at about 22, feels like 8. Dew point's at 12, so it's dry out there. No fog this morning. Just some clouds out there. Winds out of the southwest at about 17 miles an hour. Boy, that's just a fantastic shot right there. And we've actually had a couple of pictures sent in for the full moon. If you've got one, send it to us. We'll see if we can show that on the air for you this morning. Our high yesterday got up to about 38, so a few degrees above average where we should be for this time of the season. Of course, nowhere near that record of 61. And we're not going to see any 60s this weekend, but we are getting warmer. Maybe by the time we get to Sunday, we could be knocking on the door of 50. Top gust yesterday in Billings at about 23. We could see some breezy conditions to start, and then maybe see some gusts a little bit later on this afternoon. But Livingston, that's the one we have to look out for, where you're sitting at about 29 degrees right now. You're going to see some gusts possibly up to about 60 miles an hour. Not right now. We've got some gusts of about 36, but as we get into the afternoon and this evening through tomorrow morning, there's that chance along the I-90 corridor there between Livingston and Big Timber. Those winds really whipping off of the foothills, and that wind advisory in effect until about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Quick look at the high-res futurecast. You can see just maybe some snow off to our west because of that new system that is coming in. I don't think that's going to make it to our area today. Today we're just going to get up to about 39 with some clouds out there and some sunshine. We are going to stay nice and dry. And there is your 7-day forecast there. Yeah, I was supposed to do the day planner here, wasn't I?
Day planner and holiday, but that is all right. We got you covered.
I've broken the compuy this morning.
Right.
Hey, you know what? At least we can show pictures of bacon.
Yeah, bacon day. And I was telling you, I bake my bacon in the oven, and I just always feel there's never a pan big enough a baking sheet big enough to get all the pieces of bacon on it. You kind of just try to maneuver them a little bit.
How much bacon do you put in there?
The whole thing, the whole package. Yeah, got to do the whole package. So
just give it all one big go at the time.
Yeah. Don't forget to lay down the foil too. So that's important too. Then you dab it with the paper towels after, just to be a little healthy, right?
Well, and you like peppered bacon.
Yep.
I'm gonna try that. I like plain old bacon, but I'll give it a shot. What the heck?
Yeah. It's in the stores. You'll find it easily.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, Miller, I'm gonna get to talking about news, and hopefully they turn off that sizzling sound while I get into it.
I could stare at that all morning.
Go eat it.
Oh.
There you go. Well, our top story this Wednesday, you could be waking up with $600 extra in your bank account. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin tweeted that stimulus checks should have started arriving by direct deposit last night. The House passed a measure to increase the amount of those checks, and now it falls to the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says there will be a vote, but as CNN's Reed Benkin reports, Democrats say he set the bill up to fail.
Those are the three important subjects the president has linked together.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell laying out conditions for increasing the amount of direct coronavirus stimulus payments going to eligible Americans.
This week, the Senate will begin a process to bring these three priorities into focus.
Those priorities: increasing direct payments to $2,000, repealing liability protections for internet providers and tech companies like Facebook and Twitter, and setting up a commission to look into President Trump's baseless claims of voter fraud. It's those second and third provisions that Democrats say are, quote, poison pills designed to make the bill fail.
It's on the desk of Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader of the Senate. And what is he saying? I want to throw a few poison pills in there, see if I can discourage people from voting for this.
President Trump grudgingly signed the coronavirus relief package over the weekend. The House then passed a measure to increase payments to $2,000. But with the two so-called poison pill provisions McConnell is inserting, the check increase is all but doomed to fail, a move Democrats say was deliberate.
McConnell is intentionally trying to kill the $2,000 payments. We are not going to be able to pass a new piece of legislation with massively complicated internet reform and a voter fraud commission in it.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
All right, and the first case of a COVID-19 variant spreading through the UK has been reported in the U.S. Health officials say a Colorado man with no travel history contracted it, meaning there are more cases in the country. A cancer researcher in Seattle who studies COVID-19 says the variant is still likely rare in the U.S. Scientists in the U.K. believe the variant is more contagious, but the current vaccines should be effective against it. Over 2.1 million COVID-19 vaccines have been administered in the U.S. so far. It falls short of the president's goal to have 20 million by year's end. The coronavirus relief bill has nearly $9 billion for vaccine distribution. President-elect Joe Biden said his administration will ramp up immunization efforts to 1 million people a day, but adds it will require more spending from Congress. Now closer to home, getting results for your COVID-19 test could be quicker depending on where you go to get the test. In Yellowstone County, the wait time to get a result is as long as 7 days through the county health department. But as MTN's Andrea Lutz explains, there's a test with the results ready in 24 hours and it's free.
Say you're feeling a little under the weather. Immediately you think, could this be it? Do I have COVID?
You know, I don't think that we're quite done with this epidemic yet.
So you call into work, get tested, quarantine, and wait for those results to come back.
And that's had a big impact on a lot of people that need to travel, people that want to go see their families.
But in Billings, there's a faster way. Here at Yellowstone Pathology Institute, a private practice housed inside St. Vincent Healthcare, hundreds of COVID-19 test samples are coming in daily, with results going back out in hours.
Being that we are experienced in laboratory testing, that is our shtick, if you will, we said, why not? Why couldn't we try to do this right here locally?
Months back, when testing was limited because supply was at capacity, Yellowstone Pathology decided to build their own COVID-19 test.
Our test is a PCR-based test, so we're looking for the RNA in the virus.
Bonnie Flanagan works directly with the samples.
We are one of the first labs that was able to get the turnaround time that they needed.
These tests are considered the gold standard.
Right now, it has the highest performance characteristics that you see for tests on the market.
We just saw so much unmet need.
As Dr. Angela Durden explains, it's the waiting for results that's crippling for many.
You know, it's easy to send your test off and then, you know, suddenly you're waiting a week because, you know, once your sample arrives in some lab in North Carolina, they pretty much tell you get in line.
At first, these samples coming from doctors' offices, referrals, but the need in our community is so much greater.
I think this test was born partially out of frustration because you know, the lack of testing impacted us as well. I mean, we also have a workforce in our laboratory, and we also have people that we have to look out for.
Allowing the test to help you and me as soon as sickness strikes.
I look at it as the light at the end of the tunnel.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
The COVID-19 test at Yellowstone Pathology is covered by CARES Act dollars. Anyone can call them to get the 24-hour test, and soon the practice hopes to have a sample collection center at St. Vincent Healthcare. They say that should be coming in the next month or so. And with the new federal stimulus package on its way, many Americans are getting more desperately needed financial support. But one group of small business owners are finally getting help for the first time. Q2's Casey Conlon shows us how it may help the entertainment industry rebound.
The last time we checked in with the pub station was back in May. They had already been shut down for 2 months because of the pandemic, and figuring that financial help was on the way anytime. Well, it's been 7 months since then, and they still don't have any money in their accounts, but they will soon.
You know, what we accomplished nationally is what I read, at least in the New York Times, I believe it was the biggest public investment in art in history.
The Save Our Stages provision of the latest relief package will provide $15 billion for live entertainment venues like the pub station, independent movie theaters like Art House, and certain museums with show auditoriums. The SOS Group has been working on the bill for months, gathering 2.1 million emails to Congress, with some of the biggest names in music performing on empty stages across the country in support.
Hello, everybody. We're the Foo Fighters, and we're here at the legiondary Troubadour.
We're a little big town. We're happy to be in Nashville, Tennessee at the Exit Inn.
My name is Macklemore, and this is it. This is our show.
Lynch has been on the front lines as a NEVA regional representative.
Learned a lot about the ins and outs of local and federal government, which is good. It was kind of a course in civics that crash course, I guess, in civics.
While far from the most populous group, Lynch says Montana actually was one of the leaders in getting the bill finally passed.
Both of our senators, Senator Daines and Tester, were some of the earliest co-sponsors of this bill. Both have been just extremely engaged in this process, and I couldn't be happier to be a Montanan, honestly.
That's not the only reason. Montana's smaller population will likely allow the state's venues to open slightly earlier than high-profile places, but don't be mistaken, we're nowhere close to that.
I wouldn't expect live entertainment to be coming back probably at a trickle, I would say maybe Q3, Q4, maybe a little bit of 2021, the really coming back to where everybody remembers it, probably 2022. So.
That's what the Save Our Stages grant is aimed to do, help these venues survive another turbulent year ahead.
And then after that, it's just hoping that this industry sees the demand again that it once did before the pandemic.
That's correct. Yeah, which we do think it will, but it's going to take a while for people to get comfortable.
And rebound to a pastime we all took for granted. Casey Conlon, MTN News.
Lynch hopes grant applications will be available in the first 2 weeks of January, with money getting to venues by the end of the month. Montana's Commissioner of Political Practices says one of the biggest financial supporters of legal marijuana in the state must reveal its donors. The Washington, D.C.-based North Fund contributed over $5 million to passing 2 marijuana initiatives in this past election. The commissioner's ruling says the North Fund should be classified as an independent committee, which must provide information about its contributors under law. North Fund officials say they won't comment on the commissioner's ruling, as it is an ongoing legal matter. And before we take a break, in 1960, the U-2 spy plane flew onto the world scene when American pilot Gary Powers was shot down over Russian airspace and captured. 2 years later, many Americans will recall that it was photographs taken from the U-2 that exposed the presence of Soviet missiles in Cuba, leading to the Cuban Missile Crisis. MTN's Jay Cohn takes us into the cockpit of the famous U-2 spy plane that is still flying secret missions to this very day.
Fewer than 1,000 pilots have ever soloed at the controls of a U-2 plane. One of them lives outside of Livingston, Montana. Retired Air Force Colonel Ed Walby has logged more than 1,000 hours in the cockpit of a U-2, the plane nicknamed the Dragon Lady.
As you come down to land, you get within 10 feet of the runway, you're chased by another pilot. He calls out your altitudes, and when you get down to around 2 feet, you hope to have the airplane in a free stall. If you stall too high, the airplane drops and the airplane breaks in two, and you might get hurt. If you stall too low, it bounces, goes back up in the air, stalls again, and then the airplane drops and you break in two and you might get hurt. So it's difficult, plus you have the fishbowl on your head, the spacesuit. You've probably been flying 10, 12 hours, you're fatigued. Just all that stuff comes together, makes it really hard to fly. At altitude, it's easy. You got an autopilot unless you lose the autopilot, and then you're in that coffin corner of 5 knots. Go too fast, you die. Go too slow, you die.
But in spite of the inherent danger of flying a U-2, there's just something about flying at the edge of space.
When you're at 70,000 feet, you actually see the curvature of the Earth. This is either a sunrise or a sunset. There's a little piece of the moon showing. I actually saw Halley's Comet from altitude the last time it came through. Yeah, you can see the curvature of the Earth and the uniqueness of that sunrise. I think there's a sunrise. It's quite a neat place to be.
First proposed in 1953 under President Dwight Eisenhower, the U-2 was an immediate game changer in the international spy game. With a range of 7,000 miles and the ability to cruise at 70,000 feet, it could operate above the Soviet systems. To this day, the U-2 spy plane is considered the greatest intelligence breakthrough of the 20th century.
Folks that say, well, your cameras are so good you can actually read the license plate on a car. And I would tell them that's an exaggeration. From 70,000 feet, you don't have cameras that good that you could read the actual numbers on a license plate. What I can tell you is what kind of car it is, where it was manufactured, where it came from, where it's going, who's inside, who's male, who's female, what radio station they're listening to, how much gasoline's in the tank, how much oil's in the crankcase, and who they're communicating with if they're on a radio. But to say I could read the license plate would be an exaggeration.
Today, the modern version of the U-2 and its drone counterpart, the Global Hawk, are the front line of U.S. intelligence, involved in every major conflict and natural and man-made disasters since the mid-50s.
I flew over Rwanda during the slaughter of refugees during that conflict. We've been over Somalia. We've been over Mount St. Helens when it erupted. With Global Hawk and U-2, we took images of the reactors in Japan during the earthquake and the spread of radiation. We did the fires in California. We even searched for the Ark, Noah's Ark, using the radar and penetrating through the snow in Turkey. So some people say we found it, some people don't.
Colonel Walby retired to Montana several years ago. It was a homecoming of sorts, as he actually started his long Air Force career stationed at Minot Air Base in North Dakota. As you might expect, Colonel Walby has his share of harrowing moments in the cockpit of the U-2. Tomorrow he'll share some of those moments, including when he flew alongside the space shuttle in one of its first launches following the Challenger disaster. In Billings, I'm Jay Cohn reporting for MTN News.
Thank you, Jay. Stick with us here on Montana This Morning.